Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, one Todd Graham. Thank you for coming in on short notice, might I add, because we had a cancellation, and Todd Graham stepped right up to the plate, baby.
And what's hilarious is apparently the person who canceled was Leo Connors.
Yes.
And I was supposed to be on his show like 2 weeks ago, and he had to cancel on because of, everything going on. So it is pretty fitting. And stirring the pot, I never leave my house without my portable toilet and boat paddle, so I can stir the shit exactly everywhere I go.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, stirring the pot, stirring the shit. We're good with stirring anything right now. I mean, like Mark Adam Haggerty, sometimes he took over my show and he called it Smoking the Pot with Mark. Smoking the Pot with Mark Adam Haggerty. It was fun stuff. So I personally, and I'm sure many of the fans out there from my area don't know who Todd Graham is. And this is an absolute pleasure for me because I wanted to really meet you. We've said passing one time and one time only at the Chop Shop. And we said a quick hey, like a brother hey. But I've never really sat to meet you. So this forum is to kind of pull back the curtain a little bit and get to meet the guys and girls behind the curtain and to maybe tell their stories, what they do. Are you a wrestler? Are you a referee? Are you a promoter? There's so many things that we could talk about. So please introduce yourself, please, to me and all the fans that hopefully it's just not my mom and dad watching. Give us a little introduction to Todd Graham, please.
No.
Oh, come on, man.
Wouldn't that be the greatest ending to this podcast? It's like, fuck you. Next. So yeah, my name is Todd Graham. I run the Proving Ground in Pawtucket and Peabody, Massachusetts, and hopefully more places as the years go on. Obviously, 2020 is going to be tough with everything going on now, and then the backlash when it's all over is going to be, fucking it's going to be a mess. But yeah, I'm the promoter and creative person. So. Along with some of, I've got a lot of great people on the team, most notably Mike Montero, who you just spoke with. He was a recent addition when my partner left. So yeah, no, this is what I do. And you're right. I don't spend a lot of time out in your area, which is what, like Jersey, New York.
I'm in Connecticut, my friend.
Connecticut. Okay. So do you go to a lot of Test of Strength shows?
I go to not many. I go to every single Test of Strength show.
All right, then. So I was, I have friends that work out at TOS and at least one person who's not a friend, who I don't know if he's working at all anymore, but that's besides the point. We have the Mighty Bosch who's around this area, and I guess he went to Test of Strength just to help out. Or I think there was a seminar or something out that way. So we went to go check that out. And I guess there were some people at Test of Strength who he had never met coming up to him going, "You're the guy who won that Proving Ground tournament," which makes me laugh because it's like, it was just an online only poll just to see, if I could find somebody to draw for me here in Rhode Island.
I voted for the Mighty Bosch. I was right with that whole voting thing.
And I think, and I started to think about it, and I was like, wow, have we reached that far out? And I just stopped and I went, no, that's everybody busting Mike Skyros' balls for not winning. That's what that was. But no, it's just like, but when I hear shit like that, I'm just like, oh, okay. Like these little things that I do are working. And besides that tournament, I don't want to say it's a joke, but the last time we did it, the winner got a shot at getting a shot for the inaugural title match, and everybody else that was in the tournament got booked anyway.
Wow.
But they just cool. It was just a gimmick. Like everybody that was a part of that thing is gonna get booked anyway at some point. So I mean, I like Mike Skyros, I like Rick Recon. Slade is a complete sociopath. So, like, okay, yeah, this ought to be fun. And then of course the local guys, honestly, I said to Tim Kilgore, who got to the semifinals, I said, well, hey, at least you get to work for me sooner. So, well, I guess not, considering everything going on, but I told you before we started that I wanted to do something special, and the stars aligned for this. So, what I have in my hand is my IWTV contract. So there's a story behind this, but I figured it would probably be a cool thing.
What's going on right now, Mr. Graham?
I am signing my IWTV contract.
What?
I'm stirring the pot.
Oh my God, that's amazing. That is fucking amazing.
And yeah, so that's that. The story with that is, I actually sent you the video for it because you were bummed out about missing Montero versus Blaze. So I sent you a message at like 3:00 in the morning, like, here you go. You can watch it, enjoy. Back in January, we did a show that was intended to be our IWTV debut, which means that we had an agreement with IWTV long before it. I had signed that contract, or the 2019 version of it, in July. And then some stuff went on in my real life that really, the shit hit the fan. Girl trouble. Let's just put it that way. So I had some girl trouble, and I took it really, really, really fucking poorly. So a lot of stuff got thrown to the wayside, and I got the contract back to them, but I wasn't able to get them any footage to put up, right? So end of the year comes. It was just after the new year. I sent the guy an email. I said, here are my first 2 shows. Go ahead and put them up. Here's the logo. Here's the information, etc. What I didn't know was that between the end of 19 and the beginning of 2020, they entered into an agreement with Smart Mark Video. So naturally, some of the stuff that they had to do had to change. And apparently, which threw me off, apparently this made the contract that I had signed before not necessarily invalid, but it was just like, it's kind of out of date now. And since I didn't have any content on the platform to begin with, it was kind of like we had to start over. So, but they didn't have the contract, like the new contract, written up and ready for a while. And so we did the show, we did another show, all this shit happened, and I was just like, I'd been trying to keep up with it, and I finally got the new contract, and here we are. So yeah, hopefully we will be on their platform within the next month. I mean, I can imagine that they're both relieved and fucking hugely busy, because all the promotions that we're sending them content to get up on the thing, you got to imagine they have a pretty big backlog. But now that nobody's fucking running, so yeah, so we might be on there sooner rather than later, which does make me happy. So.
Well, with all of that being said, that's quite the story, first off, and that gives the fans and myself an insight that we would never be able to be a part of. So I thank you so much for sharing that story. And to top it off, you just signed your contract right here, right now, live. Well, it won't be live, but right here. I saw it live. Yeah, man. Thank you so much. That means the world to me, and I can't appreciate that enough, man.
Hey, no problem, man. Like I said, hey, it just needed to get done.
Yeah.
So it just so happens that we're doing a podcast. So yeah. What else do I have to write on this? Oh.
Yeah. Did you sign that correctly? And have you read that before you signed it when you were right now?
No, when I woke up, I was just my intent this morning was to wake up and read the contract, and then I saw your need for a guest, and I was just like, oh, this works. And then I read it. I did make sure to read it. It's very similar to the last one. But I do like the connection to Smart Mark Video.
So with this relationship, What, what do you think this does for Proving Ground as a company, and what does it do for the talent that's under the umbrella of Proving Ground to get a contract such as this? What does this do for everybody all around?
Well, for me, when I initially reached out to IWTV, it was just, IWTV was one of a couple of different platforms that had wrestling. Like, there's Fight TV, there's IWTV, there's like Pivot Share, which when YouTube started really playing with wrestlers and wrestling promotions, like taking away the monetization for some place, saying that wrestling isn't, you can't monetize wrestling in some cases. Beyond Wrestling took a huge hit. They subsequently, they had their own on-demand service on YouTube, because that's a thing you can do. Or, yeah, it's a thing you can do. I never did it, but they had their own thing, and then they moved. They ended up moving all of their stuff over to IWTV. So there's the first point to make. IWTV is the home of Beyond Wrestling, and Beyond Wrestling is arguably one of, if not the best or biggest independent promotions in America. I mean, honestly, I would even with the exception of like TNA or Impact, whatever the fuck it's called, being on an actual network, if you can call it that. Like Beyond Wrestling is either just behind or slightly above, as far as I'm concerned. Like that is they say a lot of the time that the East Coast has a lot of great independent wrestling. It's like, no, we have the absolute best independent wrestling. Between Limitless and Beyond and all of that stuff. So anyway, that's just me. That's me with a little bit of bravado. I'm not even talking about the ground. Don't get me wrong. I mean, like we've got these fuckers. Okay.
I feel you.
So the reason I mention that is because with Beyond being IWT, I mean, you could arguably say Beyond is IWTV's like flagship promotion.
Absolutely.
People are and they also have Limitless, which and I'm going to say this might be the first time. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I've said this in private to people, maybe on a podcast or two, but Limitless has kept us in business. So,
really?
Yeah, Limitless. I'm the one who does all those trading cards. So,
okay.
Limit cards subject to change is mine. So Limitless, they're going on their third series of trading cards, and I offer such a good deal. They buy so much, so I don't want to get into the business side of things, but like really, Limitless has been absolutely invaluable to us, and Randy Carver Jr. is salt of the earth people. So if you ever get the chance to speak to him, I don't know if you have or not, but if you ever get the chance to speak to him, he'd be a good interview. Being what, 21, 22 years old and running one of the biggest wrestling promotions in the country, just fuck yeah.
It's crazy, right?
I'm 34 years old and I'm still trying to figure it out. But yeah, that's one big point is like, is it going to be big for us? Absolutely, because people are going to subscribe to IWTV just to see Beyond Wrestling, and we're going to be there. Mm-hmm. There's a number of other there's hundreds, but we're going to be there. We're going to be in the conversation.
So how and I go, when you go to the IWTV and you look at the menu of what's available on that platform, and it's not easy to stand out in the mix of all of it. I mean, if people know they're looking for Proving Ground, they're going to look for Proving Ground. But how can a company stand out in the sea of what's on IWTV? Is that even possible to do? To like, hey, Proving Ground is right here.
It is, and it's something that I've been trying to figure out myself, and I think I've figured it out. When I originally started talking with the people over at IWTV, they said that they had a huge backlog, which makes sense because hundreds of promotions sending you shows all the time. They said that they're prioritizing the newer stuff. Okay, so that means like if I ran a show today and was able to edit it in a day and hand it to them a day later, then the priority would be to put us towards the top. Now that's just getting it on the platform. Mm-hmm. But one thing I've noticed, and I know we're on the phones right now, so I can't physically show you, but if you go to the IWTV app and split my lip somehow, it's dry up here. If you go to the IWTV app and you click on promotions, it's not like you would imagine Beyond Wrestling is right at the top, right? It's not. What's at the top is the promotion with the most recent show. So, if hypothetically, when Free for All was recorded back in January, if we had already been on the platform, and already established on the platform with shows, et cetera, and I didn't have to sign another contract, what would have happened would have been we did the show on a Saturday. I edited it in its entirety on the Sunday and had it ready Monday. So theoretically, I could have been like, here's the link, here's the show logo, here's the card, put it up, and it probably would have been up in a week's time, and we would have been on that landing page with the first 10 promotions. So as far as I know, and it's something that I haven't, not necessarily an issue with. It's just I have a lot of backlog myself. So, I mean, we were just about to do level 9, and we have never released levels 1, 2, 3. So, well, I said this on a stream recently. I said, why haven't I released any of them? Because I'm a filthy capitalist, and I wanted to try and sell them, and I hadn't found the right platform for it yet. And nobody buys fucking DVDs anymore. So, because it's been out. The first 2 have been out on out on Blu-ray for the last while, and I think I made like 5 copies of each, and I still have copies from the original run. So, not too many people are picking them up.
Well, technology, it goes as wrestling. It goes in chunks and eras. So we have seen the decline in DVDs and even the Blu-ray, which is supposed to be, way better than the DVDs and the crisp and all of that. People just find everything streaming and right on their phone and all of that stuff. Do you share, like you said, you mentioned you shared a match with me because you saw the Montero, love Mike Montero. You saw that I was like, shit, I missed the Devin Blaze and Montero match. And you shared that with me, and I was blown away. I was like, look at this motherfucker. He's showing me some amazing love, and it was on lock, though. It was unlisted. Now, do you do that with the boys and girls for their matches so they get to get into that footage vibe with you and say, hey, this is what your match was looking like. Here it is. Do you do that with the guys and girls?
Yeah. No, I mean, as far as I've been told, and, what do they say? Don't toot your own horn, but hey, who better knows the tune? They tell me, I've been told by the people that work for me that I am one of, if not the best when it comes to giving them their footage, because once again, if we shoot on a Saturday, they'll have their raw unedited footage by Sunday. I literally come home, rip it, and upload it and go to sleep. So, because that was the one thing that I did, because I wrestled for 13 years before I got the neck surgery. And I used to tell promoters a lot of the times, and this might have been stupid on me, but money's great and everything, but you're not going to get rich in this business unless you're on TV, or really, really doing a grind and making a name for yourself. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not saying I never had that. I'm just saying that I wanted a family more than I wanted a wrestling career. So I still don't have one. So, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I always used to tell promoters, I'd be like, just give me the footage. You don't have to pay me. I want the tape, unless of course they were paying really well, in which case they're like, pay me and make sure the tape shows up soon, and then I just started offering my recording services for shows that I was on. I'm like, do you want me to just set up my cameras? And they'd be like, yeah, that'd be the bomb. And I'm like, great, yeah, because then I'll have the footage. So it's very, very simple that way.
So you enjoy,
yes,
you enjoy the media end of what you're doing in Proving Ground as well, it seems. Yes.
Well, yeah, but you also have to remember, like, memories are going to fade. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to get hit in the head a lot, and I think I think once, once the memories are gone, that's it. But videos are forever. And I used to say the same thing to my dad before he died. I used to be like, let me film shit, because one day you're going to be gone and I'm not going to have anything. And now that he's gone and I don't fucking have anything, I literally, I said this to my mother once. I said, I think I have 5 or 6 videos to remind me what his voice sounds like. But other than that, that's it. And it's fucking heartbreaking. And then you stop and think, well, not everybody is a video audio file like I am. And they've got nothing. So I make it a point to do things like this so that my family will never have to forget what my voice sounds like. So, I think they're set, honestly.
I'm so glad that you've stepped up to the 12 o'clock spot today, because I have 4 interviews, and you talking to us and me meeting you for the first time right now through this damn phone is absolutely been a fucking pleasure, man. I never expected this from Todd Graham, really, because I just never knew who Todd Graham was. So this is a pleasure for me, man, and this is really cool, man.
Well, that's the thing. There's a comedian that just put out a special, and he said, "Who tells the best stories? It's the people who you just recently met who are trying to earn your favor. Who tells the worst stories? Your best friends, because who fucking cares? They don't." Like that's the thing. Any question you think people won't answer, I'll answer it. I don't give a shit. So,
okay, and this has nothing. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to do this, because I've never divulged this question ever. Never, not once. And you just say, hey, ask me anything. And I know that you'll answer it. It's obviously your wheelhouse is wide open. But I do a tester question instead of the Skype. This is brand spanking new for me. I just started doing Skype interviews this past Sunday because of this whole fucking Kincaid, this whole Kincaid thing going on. So this is brand new for me. So when I would set up stirring the pot interviews, I would always do a tester question to set my frame and to check the lapel mics that I would use for the interviews. And the question was such, and now that I'm divulging this question, I'm going to have to fucking change it up. And my tester question would be this, for male or female, either way, it doesn't matter. And it would go as such. Mr. Todd Graham, have you ever been caught jerking off in the closet?
in a closet. That's really specific.
Yes.
No, but a wrestler on my roster had been. I'm not going to tell you his name, but it was, well, let's put it this way. I've known him since we were kids, so that probably gives it away. There was I guess, as the story goes, there was a slumber party, and this young man had a crush on a girl at the slumber party, and slipped away for a minute, and found a closet. So the answer to the question is not me, but yes, somebody in my direct island, absolutely.
I've never just randomly asked that question in an interview, and nobody's ever seen those. And I've done them for every single interview I've done. And I just got a story out of my tester question. Have you ever been caught jerking off in the closet? That's fucking amazing.
Listen, my jerking off is done in private. Or with consent. No, it's, I don't think I do. Actually, wait a minute. It is a funny story.
Uh-oh.
Fuck it. You know what? Who cares? Your parents will be really upset, but because they're the only ones watching. But when I was in a relationship when I was a teenager, and by that I mean like 19, and I was 19, she was 27, and so already fucking scandaloso. And we were in bed one night, and she didn't want to fool around, and she was the one who suggested, why don't you just jerk off? And I'm just like, that wouldn't be weird for you? And she's like, I'm just gonna go to sleep. And I'm just like, all right, you know. Usually in situations where I have company, I might excuse myself to a closet. I mean bathroom, and then you know, just get up and tell your boy, yeah, I'm gonna take a jizz. I'll be right back. So I'm doing this thing, and she is asleep, and I'm like, it's taking a little bit longer than usual because I'm kind of petrified. Like, why am I jerking off next to this person? And then she sleep for like 5 minutes, and then woke up just enough to like have her eyes like half open, and she just looked at me and said, "Make sure you wake me up for the finish." And I'm like, "What the fuck am I living?" So I completely forgot. Next morning, she wakes up.
I completely forgot.
I completely forgot to wake her up. Next morning, she wakes up and she literally just rolls over and goes, "Did you end up doing that?" Like, and I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Did you wake me up?" And I'm like, "First of all, you don't remember if I did or not. And secondly, no." And she was really disappointed for the rest of the day. And I'm like, what exactly do you think you were going to get out of this except the mess? So,
oh my God.
There you go, Don Kincaid. There's your inappropriate story for the show.
Man, I am, if anybody that I have ever asked that question to, I am just so fucking glad I asked Todd Graham randomly, have you ever been caught jerking off in the closet? I think I snapped one of my ribs on my left side. I can't breathe very well, man. That shit hurts.
You got that Jason Devine situation going on.
Oh my God. Woo. Oh man.
So wrestling, yeah.
We've talked proving ground. We've talked proving ground on the upcoming onto IWTV. You've signed the contract. Very special moment in time. History on stirring the pot, if you will. Could you talk about the rise of Proving Ground? Where did it come from? You said you were a wrestler previous. Was your name Todd Graham as a wrestler? And where did Proving Ground come from, please?
All right. So, I mean, it's not often I'm given, like, I jokingly say that because I've been on Leo Connor's show fucking 5 times. But I tell bits and pieces of the story of how everything happened, but I can run it through. One thing I did want to go back on, you did ask, what does the IWTV deal mean for the people that work for me? And I don't think I got to that. I mean, I did mention that, having Beyond Wrestling on the platform makes the platform more viable, and people are probably subscribing to it just to see Beyond, and we're all there too. I have a couple of friends that who got IWTV for Beyond, and then they're telling me, "Oh, I just watched the Acid Cup," or "I just saw Joey Janela's Spring Break," or whatever the fuck, or GCW stuff, and I'm like, okay, well, so they're discovering other wrestling, which is great, right? To answer the question on how it's going to affect the boys, when I announced initially back in January that the show was going to be for IWTV, I got a text from Danny McCormick, or Danger Kid from the Main State Posse. And he had worked for me once or twice in the past with Proving Ground, and once or twice for Elkmania, which I had a hand in for a while. And of course RWA. So and he worked for NCW, and they were just, so anyway, I knew the guy. Okay, that's the point I'm trying to make. I know the guy. And he reached out to congratulate me and say that it's a really good thing for the for the boys and girls on the show, because IWTV carries with it, at least in today's landscape, carries with it not necessarily like a lot of clout, but it's just like that's a big deal for a lot of these people. There are some people, he actually said to me, he's like, there are some people that work for PG that pretty much only work for PG, and this would be their only opportunity to get onto a platform like this. It also opens the door for talent that has never worked for me to come in and be like, hey, I know I've never worked for you, let me come in for such and such, what, like gas money or whatever. And, and just to be able to be like, okay, so now they can be seen on IWTV, and now they can point to their friends and their fans and be like, hey, go to IWTV, check out the match I had with so-and-so, et cetera, et cetera. And I was just like, that's a really good point. Because as much as I had probably thought of that, I wasn't actively thinking about it, because I'd like to believe I'm not a piece of shit. And with that being said, I'd like to believe that I'm not a piece of shit that goes, working for me is going to be great for your career. No, that's not what I'm thinking. But what I am thinking is, working for me now with IWTV on the table, I mean, it'll get you on a different platform, which I think is awesome. And I got to remember not to undersell that when booking new talent. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that's what IWTV's the effect of it is going to be. So moving on from that, you said, like, where did I come from or what have you, and
how did the Proving Ground become, and the rise of Proving Ground? And you said you were a wrestler previous. Did you wrestle under Todd Graham? And did you become? Is this Proving Ground yours solely? And did you come up with this? And was it a transition from wrestling to promoter, or how did the Proving Ground and the wrestling kind of transition?
All right, so first things first, I've wrestled since 2006 under the name Derek Simonetti. So I've been around since 06, which nobody really knows when they meet me. They're just like, oh, who's this new guy? Always used to be the thing. And then once the Proving Ground started getting, it's like, oh, it's Proving Ground guy. I'm like, okay, I'll take that. Yeah, the Proving Ground, I mean, at the very end of the day, I am the last voice for PG. A lot of people will say that it's 100% mine, and it always has been because it was my idea. But there is a story. Up until the end of last year, I had a partner named Adam Nessel, who had been my creative partner through my other projects, which included like Project Zero Wrestling, which was a complete thing that I did from 07 to 11. All studio stuff. And we basically took, it's like, we didn't have a lot of people on the roster, but we took just, everybody we had, and we made it into this thing that was way bigger than it ever should have been. So it didn't, I used to jokingly say it's the best wrestling show that you've never seen. Because nobody was watching. So, because we're all just a bunch of shit bums from Salem, Massachusetts. I made my debut in wrestling in 06. I did PZW through 2011, and when PZW was over, I didn't want to like really engage in doing another project like that because it was so time consuming, and if I did it again, it probably would have been with the same fucking 9 to 11 people, and it would have just been the same thing over again, and I didn't want to do that. And then the people who promote the promotion Elkmania, which is in Beverly, Massachusetts, guys' names Ryan and Atlee, and they're friends of mine. They were friends of mine. And also, I'm just going to say this. Yeah, I did backyard wrestling for a long time too. Like this 2020 would be the 21st year of me filming myself throwing my body at the ground. So I've been doing this most of my life. But they came to me and they said, hey, we had this idea and we think that you're the missing piece. And I said, well, I appreciate that, and then we all got together and we created a charity show called Elkmania. That was in 2013. Well, fast forward to today, and now instead of doing one show a year or one show ever, they're doing 4 shows a year for different charities in the area. And it's what I considered my home base for my wrestling, because that audience, for whatever fucking reason, that audience fell in love with me. And, it's like I can do no wrong there. So, yeah, it's my home for wrestling, for my actual wrestling. Okay. So with that being said, and we'll get to this again. When PG started, I didn't want to wrestle on the show. I wanted to spend my time backstage. You know, not wrestling. Like I was an interview guy because I'm okay with the words. But I didn't want to have to be in the wrestling, and then of course you get itchy and shit happens. But so the story goes like this. Back in Now keep in mind, Proving Ground officially started in 2016. So anyway, back in 2009, we had or 2008, 2009. I don't have my notes. We had a ring announcer for my previous project, PCW, named Mike Zarba. Now, Mike Zarba might be a name that you're familiar with if you've ever been to Nova. So, yeah, so Nova has the Zarba Cup every year, or did when they were running. I don't know what the story is. They might come back, who knows. The Zarba Cup was dedicated to this kid, Mike Zarba, who was our ring announcer, who we were training at the time to be a wrestler on the show, and he was killed in a hit-and-run accident 2 weeks before the first match was supposed to happen. So I'm at Mike's wake, and this guy, whose name is Adam Santos, who was the owner and operator of Nova Promotions, approaches me and asks me if I would be interested in doing a tribute wrestling show for Mike at the Chop Shop, which I wasn't familiar with at the time. And I remember answering him in the affirmative, like, yeah, sure, just let me know, whatever. Meanwhile, in my head, I'm just like, are you fucking serious? Our friend's in a box at the end of the room. You want to talk about this some other time? So that conversation happens. PCW continues for another 2 years and then shuts down. I was engaged to somebody who did not support my wrestling, so I had no plans on really getting back into wrestling, you know. Then Atlee and Ryan came along, the Elkmania thing happened, and I got a message from this Adam fellow. So right now it's been 5 years since Mike had died. And in the text, he was like, hey, we're doing a tournament. Do you want to be a part of it? And at the time, I think I'd had 1 or 2 matches in 2 years. So I wasn't really in shape or anything like that. But with Elkmania kicking off and things working out with that, I was just like, well, fuck, I'd better, you know, get a workout in or something. Because I think Elkmania 2 was coming up at the time. So I said, yeah, sure, what the fuck, I'll be a part of it. I said, can I bring somebody to work with in that first round? He said, absolutely. So I brought my friend Stevie James, who was big in PCW at the time. Big in PCW. So fast forward. It's the Zarba Cup tournament. It's my first time ever stepping into the Chop Shop, like the one on Broadway in Providence.
Okay.
I walk in there and I'm just like, okay, so this is the Chop Shop. All right. And I had heard about T Phoenix having a short fuse, and I had heard about, you know, like, you know, lock your car twice or they might rob you, you know, or some shit like that, right? So I get in there, I get to warm up in the ring. I'm like, all right, ropes are nice, bumps nice, this is good. Food for thought for later. During the show, somebody from out of town, like he brought someone in from like the Philadelphia area. It looked like they were about to do a spot that was going to destroy one of the chairs in the Chop Shop, and T has very strict rules about that. So T comes fucking screaming across the room before the spot can happen, and he slaps the absolute fuck out of both of the wrestlers involved. And then after the match, they go to intermission, and T comes into the back, and he's just like, any of you fuck with my chairs, I'll fucking kill you. And I'm just like, that's T Phoenix. All right. And I unfortunately hold that idea of him until way later when we became partners with RWA. And then I realized, oh, he's just like me. Got it. You know, he's just a fucking teddy bear, and he didn't know that fucking locker room. So anyway, I have the first round match with Stevie, and it's okay at best. You know, I'm like, oh fuck, I'm 100 pounds heavier than I want to be. at all times. I stepped on the scale this morning and it said 316, and I was just like, okay, great, that's fantastic. It's better than it was yesterday. So I walk up to the promoter, and I honestly, I didn't want to be there anymore. It was just, it didn't feel good to be there, because it was just like, I'm like looking around going, look, I realized that I've been running shows of like only 9 people for years, but I could have easily fucking organized this better. This is bullshit. You know, it was sad to watch from my perspective. So I walk up to the promoter and I told him, I said, hey, my ride's got to go. So, cause he wanted me to, like, he didn't tell me this ahead of time, but he didn't want me to win the fucking thing. I'm like, I'm the only one in the tournament that actually knew the kid. He didn't want me to win the fucking thing, but he wanted me to get to the finals, which meant having 2 singles matches and then a 4-way clusterfuck. So I said, hey, I know you wanted me to go to the finals of this thing. Would it be okay if I just put over my opponent in the second round instead? You know, like, my ride's getting antsy. He wants to go. And he's like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And I'm like, who's my opponent? And he's like, he's the guy over there. His name's Conway. I said, all right. So I walked over, and that's when I met Derek Conway. Now, Derek Conway was primarily known for working in WAW, which was a outlaw mud show bullshit show out in fucking Manchester, New Hampshire, running illegally under the radar of the New Hampshire State Athletic Commission. But, you know, he wound up on this show, and he brought the person he was with at the time, who he wasn't, they weren't dating yet, but they might as well have been. So he brought Delilah Hayden, and they were fucking. That's what I'm implying. They were fucking. Anyway, so him and Delilah and a couple of other people from WAW were there. I think, and I know Judge was there, and I know Stephen Lust was there, but I really just met Dennis, or Derek Conway, and we sit there, and I'm like, so what do you want to do for the match? Now I'm checked out. I'm completely fucking checked out. And he's rattling off some really good shit. Some like, who shot John, 20-minute fucking killer spots. Some of them fucking Japanese wrestling spots. And at the end of it, I just kind of nod my head and I said, look, I missed all of that. Do you want to just go do like 5 minutes of comedy and fuck around? And you could tell he was disappointed, but he just went, yeah, all right. You know, he wanted to show off. That's how Dennis is. So we go out and we have this 5-minute comedy match, and I said, what's your finish? He's like, the double foot stomp from the top rope. And I'm like, what's your finish? I told him, I said, fuck it, it's the last thing I'm doing all night. If you hurt me, at least I'm going home. So I said, sure. So we do a funny thing, like I take his hat off and wipe my ass with it. You know, I don't know. I'm the big guy, he's the little guy. Somebody made a Big Show joke, so I started lumbering around like Big Show. You know, like if you were in the locker room, you'd think I didn't give a shit. But at the same time, I was giving the fans what they were jokingly asking for. So we have this match. Match is over. It's not bad. We exchange phone numbers. That's like the last I think I'm going to hear about it. Upload the footage because I recorded it with my own camera, sent it to him, and we're just shooting the shit. Now, before Elkmania 2, we were going to go to Chris Blackheart's building in Woonsocket, which is where I used to film my other show. I said, we're just going to go get a workout in, have some matches. If you want to come down, introduce yourself to the guys, you know, have a good time, whatever, just bump around. He shows up and he says, hey, can I bring my friend Ryan? I said, absolutely. So he brings with him Kevin Giles. So I don't know if you know Kevin Giles. The guy's a fucking monster. In size. Fucking teddy bear is a person, but a monster in fucking size. Pretty sure he's on that show I sent you. So he brings this guy, and he has a match with Giles, and it's great. It's like the kind of wrestling I like, the hard hitting and the strikes and all that shit. I'm like, oh, it's beautiful. Then he has a match with Delilah Hayden where they're grabbing each other by their crotches, and I'm just like, I like this too. Closet or whatever the fuck you're into. So they have these great matches, and I think to myself, you know, it's like, you know, if I just had more talent like this, I think it would be fun to run another project. Because I didn't, like I said, I didn't want to run something with the same fucking people that I'd been working with. Not that they're shitty people, but it was just like, I've seen it. You know, like everybody took their turn with the belt. And then that was it. So we decide, fuck it, he's like, when are we doing this again? I said, I don't know. I wasn't really planning on it, you know? So I said, fuck it, let's go down. We went down in another month. And he said, hey, can I bring so-and-so? That's where I met the Firebirds. And then that just kept fucking trickling down, and it became, hey, let me bring my friend Stephen Lust. All right. Somebody was like, hey, CJ Price. All right. Hey, let me bring in Dick Lane. All right. This was before Dick Lane was Dick Lane. I mean, he was still a character, but I mean, like, before he became...
yeah, insane Dick Lane.
So I literally, and the thing is, I wanted to present PG like a sport. I remember pacing the floor at my 9-to-5 job going, how am I supposed to explain the Force? I dumbfounded. I was just like, I'm supposed to be, how am I going to explain this? You know, and then eventually I was just like, fuck. And now Sean Leader's been abducted by aliens. We're doing everything. We don't care. Wow, his gimmick makes sense now. You know, but no, it was just like, let me bring in Tom Newington and Sean Leader. Let me bring in the Middlesex Express. Let me bring in, and it's just everybody was just like, hey, my friends saw this and they want to come in. Fuck, Vern Vicallo, we brought him in. We brought in Mike McCarthy and Chris Venom when he came back, and fucking, you know, Ryan Gosling was there for 1 or 2 shots, and you know, we just kept bringing in all these people, and it was just like, wow. And to think it just stopped. You know, maybe I have some of the best things that I have in the world because watching Dream first night was there, and the first wrestling Steve, because I can put a date to the day I met one of my best friends in the fucking world. You know. Show at the Chop Shop that I didn't really want to be at, you know, and I ended up meeting all these people, and I'm just like, I got to work shit shows more often. So I did Nova for another couple of years. Part that we don't really talk about is I was never going to be the person in charge. Started, the idea was to give it to 2 people that had been big in PCW towards the end that I thought, erroneously, would be great people to take over. And that was the guy I wrestled in the tournament, Stevie James, and my protege, Joey Warner. And Joey was a good wrestler, but he didn't want, you know, he just wanted to hold shows and just have matches for the sake of matches. And I'm just like, that's all well and good, but we don't have we don't have the fan base for that. You know, like if I decided to run a show right now that was just matches for the sake of matches with no storyline, people might go for it. But at the time, nobody was going to go for it. And then Stevie James, I want to use the word brain dead when it comes to the thing. And I literally gave it to them, and then a week later, I was just like, "Never mind, it was a joke, it was a dream. All of us have woken up. Here we are." So then I ended up taking over, and yeah, and the rest is history. We moved from Woonsocket to Salisbury, Massachusetts, where APW was doing their training, and then from there. I finally got to speak with the real T Phoenix, the one who wasn't chasing people from Philly across the room. Turns out we get along really well. Once again, fucking one of my best friends. I love doing business with him, and easygoing guy. And he opened the door for us to do shows where we could actually sell tickets because neither of the other 2 buildings would have allowed it. And the rest is history. We did a handful of shows at the shop, and then we got the call from the Knights of Columbus and Peabody, and it's one of those things where every project I had done before PG, somebody had been able to like point at it or look at it and go, "Aren't you embarrassed by this? You're just a bunch of shit bums and you're blah, 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 blah." First night at PG, I actually addressed all of that. And I said, listen, to everybody watching this that thinks we're ruining the business and that you don't like us and that you want us to stop, keep watching because you're going to anyway. Because that's all your vapid fucking lives are worth. You're just going to fucking sit around and shit on us and not do anything, or whatever. But so I came out swinging defensively. Like, I know people are going to shit on this because that's what I'm used to. We fast forward to 2020, which is now 4 years later, and I don't know anybody who's shitting on us. Not to say that there isn't people doing it privately, but it's like there's nobody publicly going, "Oh, that Proving Ground's a piece of shit." Yeah, because most of their fucking friends are wrestling on my show. So you shit on the Proving Ground, you shit on people like Vern Vicalo, who came in, who's fucking killing it right now. You shit on guys like Mike McCarthy, who's incredible. You shit on guys like Anthony Green, who fucking came in for a shot. Like, so that somebody said to me once, they were just like, it's not the same as it was before. And I'm like, yeah, because I don't feel like I'm fighting for my fucking life. I can actually focus on making this different, or the best it could possibly be, and I don't have to worry about other people's opinions because they all seem to be relatively positive or quiet if they're negative. So yeah, we've come a long way. I mean, it's the same thing I say about my personal life. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm fucking miles away from where I was. So
you're happy with the progression of PG right now, Proving Ground, where it's at right now? You're content with where it's at?
Yes, but the thing is like when I say I'm content where it's at, that's almost implying that, oh yeah, we've hit a plateau. I just signed
No.
contract. We're still going this way.
Right, but the evolution from where it started to now, you're content with how it's come to fruition now. But there's the stars. You're shooting for the stars, especially signing that contract. That could be the beginning of many things to come.
I have some goals that I'd like to hit, and I don't know if the IWTV thing is going to necessarily make me any money. It's they gotta pay by play system. So it's like if people watch for a certain amount of time, you make some money. It's the same thing as like Spotify. Like I'm not expecting that to make me any money. Like I'm not even looking at it as a cash resource. But what I am looking at it as is an opportunity to reach more people. And eyes are the most important currency in this business. And hearts and money come later. And I started this thing thinking that it was forever going to be a studio show filmed in a small building in front of no people. And I fast forward to, let's say, level 3, which was a year ago, our first show at the Knights of Columbus. And there's a small backstory here. There was another promotion that runs in the city, run by a guy named Todd Sopel. And he is not a fan of me. The joke is now I'm the Todd that people like. But the long and short of it is, we booked a show for 3/16, and we were going to run it. And he decided that he was also going to run in the same city on the same night. And he had been there for 10 years. So you would think in 10 years, you'd built up a pretty strong fan base. So in my head, I'm just like, we're going to do okay. We have a ladder match on the card. But in my head, I'm also like, because that's like, I've been to his shows. He used to draw, he's drawn 100 to 150 people the times that I've gone. And I'm just like, oh, it's a potential 150 people that aren't coming to my show, because it's only 12 minutes away, And I'm just like, what the fuck am I? I was really nervous about it. Fast forward, when the night's over, we drew 265 people, and from the pictures and the reports of my wrestlers who were working his show as well, they drew like 40. So I was just like, well, don't be a prick, I guess. You know, as long as you're not a fucking asshole, you'll do well. So, you know, it was moments like that where I was like, I'm standing in the ring in front of over 200 people, and I'm just like, I did not expect this, and I'm glad that I have it. And I think the mistake that a lot of promotions make is that they grow too quickly, they expand quickly. Like, I know one promotion that had a really good show, and they had like one like Ring of Honor talent on the show, and and the next one they booked like seven extended talents, and it really, I mean, the one guy filled their house. You know, 7 you didn't need to do. You know, and then they were just like, oh, we lost money on that show and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, see, that's the thing. I don't lose money. Like, that's the best advice I can give you. Work within your means. And that's the thing. For the last 2 years in running PG, I haven't had to spend a personal dime on the promotion. It's all been money made by PG. So
now I've talked behind the curtain to a couple promoters over the course of the last few years of kind of hanging around the indie scene. Do you find keeping your local talent that have already been under your umbrella is sufficient to continue your promotion, and you don't have to bring in a big name from WWE at the time, or an older WWE talent, or like you're saying, an indie Ring of Honor guy? Keeping your local talent, do you think that's suffice enough to keep your promotion? Because sometimes you just, like you're saying, it costs out of pocket. And sometimes it's just meaningless to the fans. Sometimes a handful of fans will come to see specific wrestler, but your umbrellas already have a flourishing talent base. You know what I'm saying?
And I've said this forever. Local talent sells the tickets. There's like, all right, so I'll give you a perfect example. And you know, AG and I talked about this at one point. Level 1 and Level 2. Level 1 was headlined by Mike Montero versus Sean Leader in a first time ever match. Okay, so never been done, and which is amazing for two guys that have been running in the same promotion forever.
Right.
But not only that, two chop shop guys in the chop shop. Okay. We also ran that on a Saturday. I just want to mention that because I don't want it to seem like I'm about to job fucking AG out, because AG is amazing. But then we did Level 2, and the main event was Sean Leader, who had won against Mike Montero the month prior, or the show prior. We were doing shows like quarterly at best, because I wasn't sure of what I was doing yet. And now we do them monthly. But fucking the main event was going to be Sean versus Anthony Green. Okay, thing to mention, it was done on a Friday. Friday shows are kind of tough, but the show with AG and Sean on top drew less than the one with Montero and Sean on top. And the undercard was equally as strong, so that wasn't a question. Both shows had a strong undercard, but it was just like, you know, and AG's gonna evolve now and all that stuff, and he was a name coming up at the time, and you know, could he have done some business for us? Absolutely. His connection to Beyond Wrestling, absolutely. But like, he wasn't the only example. Fast forward, there was another show, and I'm not going to say the name of the show for legal reasons, but it wasn't my show. But he went and booked, I don't know. He booked a Ring of Honor guy. He booked some Chikara guys. He booked, a handful of guys and girls, and I know what he spent out of pocket, and he drew flies because there were no fucking local talents on the show. You know, so it's just like, now that's not to say that the local talents are going out and fucking beating feet and selling tickets and shit. It's like, no, but it's like, this is the people that they know. So like Test of Strength, Dan DeMann, fucking Sammy Diaz, fucking Slick, Bobby Ocean, like those are your guys, you know. And if you position them right and tell the story right, then people will fucking come to see it. They'll throw babies in the air when the good guys win, you know. But I've realized in my running of shows that, yeah, sure, it's nice to be able to go. Perfect example. APW ran a show that I was a part of with Simon Gotch, who I'm a huge fan of. It was nice to meet him backstage and everything, but he didn't draw, you know, and that's not even a knock on him. It's just like, promotion is a staunchly local promotion that sells out its tickets with its local talent. Now, getting someone like a Simon Gotch is a nice extra gift to the fans, but it didn't make them any more money. You know, like, once again, when you're selling all your tickets already, you know, like, unless you're raising the prices, which is fucking the audience on a regular basis, you know, it's funny. It's like, anytime you have somebody in that's like a big name and all of a sudden the ticket prices go up, you're just like, all right, this isn't good to the fans at all. You know, like, you know, if you can get by without, if you can sell out every show that you have without ever bringing in a name, it's not to say that the names aren't worth anything. It's just a matter of, you just don't need to do it. And I want to bring AG back, because I think AG, let's take the idea of selling tickets to the show completely out of it. AG is going to give an opportunity to another wrestler to get better. Because you only get better when you work better talent. That is a reason to bring in fucking big outside talent. You know, like how many shows have you seen in the last year that featured around here anyway, that featured like Tommy Dreamer? You know? Yeah. So Tommy's around, you know, and you know, I've spoken with Tommy before, and I would love to have him. And I'm pretty sure, because of his stature in this business, he'd make some, you know, he'd draw, you know, but I don't need to bring it in. Don't need to bring in a name like that. I might at some point, just for me being a complete fucking mark, but you know, like, I'll bring in Jake Roberts, you know, I'm a snake mark. But no, it's like, that's the thing, is like, if you're running a small wrestling promotion like this, then you realize all you need is the guys that the audience knows and loves, and they will come see it. Or in my case, in Peabody, and the same thing goes for Elkmania. As much as I'd like to say that I'm over as fuck at Elkmania, people aren't coming just to see me. They're coming to see wrestling. They're a casual audience that's coming to see wrestling in a town that doesn't get wrestling all the time. So that's the thing. So, and that's what's interesting about the difference between like the Chop Shop in Pawtucket and the Knights of Columbus and Peabody. The Knights of Columbus and Peabody are way easier to please. So, you know, I can just, like, for instance, we were going to do a cage match. It was like, I'm bringing in a cage. That'll bring casual fans to the fucking table. They don't even need to know the rest of the card. It's like, steal 7 other matches. Done. There. And the ticket sales up until fucking COVID kicked in. We're showing that people were going to come. But however, in Pawtucket, it's like, so what are the matches on the card? You know, it's like they're more diehard and they require more information. So, and not only that, but you'll get there, and even if they came there to see you, and even if they like you, they're still going to fucking sit on their hands until you do something worth clapping for. So it's like it's like the fucking ECW Philadelphia audience. They're just like, earn our respect. And I'm like, we've already got your money. You know? So yeah, like I don't think I've ever really been over at the Chop Shop, and hopefully, if I decide to get back in the ring after fusion surgery, I'll have an opportunity to do so. But we'll see.
Well, it's funny you compare the ECW, like you use that ECW arena analogy. Mike Montero, he's like, you know, the Chop Shop, that's my ECW arena, you know, like that's my place, man, you know, and I totally feel that because I've been to multiple promotions out at the Chop Shop, and like you're saying, those fans want what they want, man.
Yep, they certainly do. And Mike Montero, he was saying on your show, he was talking about how he wrestled AJP, and for the first time in forever, it didn't feel like his anymore. And I'm just like, well, yeah, times, you know, that audience wants what they want. And right now, the young guns, especially AJP, you know, universal love for him. Dick Lane, Dick Lane, you know, they say that if you work too many places and saturate where people can see you and you're not like a rare commodity, people won't come out to see you. Fuck that. Dick Lane is popular fucking everywhere he's at. And he works at the show. You know, the Chop Shop, he's on it. So why I made him my tag team partner so I could fucking clout share with him, and everything will be just fine.
Man, Mr. Graham, the insight that you have given us about yourself, about the proving ground, about the history of some of the local area wrestling in your area, because I'm from Connecticut, in your area, I've gotten so much knowledge just from this time that we've talked right now that I would have never have gained anywhere else. So your time today has been beyond valuable because I'm not that bright, and I got a little bit smarter today because of Todd Graham, and I thank you for that, my friend.
No problem, man. And, of course, you learned about my masturbatory efforts next to my 27-year-old girlfriend. Yeah, it was a great time.
I did. That was almost like a necrophilia kind of story. It was it was funny as fuck. And the last thing I want to touch on is a very heartfelt thank you for signing that contract, man. That was a very special moment, and I can't thank you enough.
What's hilarious is it could be like, that's just a piece of paper, you fucking mark. You don't know what that is. Fuck you. You know. But,
yeah. Could you send that to me just so we can confirm proof? That would be amazing.
Hang on. Let me just see. Is there anything legal on this that I need to worry about? Okay. Well, there you go. So it's like that right there is independent wrestling, something or other. So.
Yeah. Man.
Don't tell nobody, just in case. You know, I don't want to get upset.
Todd Graham, it's been an absolute pleasure having you and meeting you for the first time. I mean, this was truly fantastic, and I can't thank you enough, man.
Hey, man, this is what happens when I wake up and I'm like, sure, I'll do a podcast. Let's do
it. Oh, my God. My fucking left rib is killing me. This was Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid, and my God, my special guest today, one Todd Graham. Thank you, my friend.
No problem, man. Pleasure was mine.